Yo, what's going on YouTube? Alright, so I got a message from an older black man, and he said that he feels like a lot of younger black men are hard on black women in terms of not working with them or being accepting of their behavior, as if, you know, he feels like pretty much, he feels overall that we want black women to be doormats, and that's not the case. Right? At least not for me and a lot of other men. First, I'm going to start off with two definitions, alright? Change and alter in terms of behavior. Now, when you change behavior, you are completely abandoning an old way of doing something and adopting a new way of doing something, right? You know, you're completely reforming it, right? It's like changing your jump shot from shooting it right-handed to left-handed. You're completely changing it. Alter means that you are not changing a behavior, you're tweaking it. So let's say I'm shoot with my right hand. I may alter my jump shot by changing up my release point, right? But I'm not switching to my left hand. I still have the rock in my right hand. You know, I'm just snapping my wrist a little bit differently. I'm placing my right hand at a different spot on the basketball, right? That's the difference between change and alter. Okay? Now, a lot of black women have behaviors that need to be changed. But the problem with changing behavior is that most women want to change behavior in the presence of a man. And it's not a good thing. Why? Because it's conditional. It's based off of the assumption that they have a good working relationship. So that's what's keeping that behavior where it needs to be. But the second our relationship becomes rocky or afraid, or we're going through a tough time, because that's how life is, good times and bad times, that behavior that we hated, that behavior that she said she would give up, is going to come right back. And we've all seen it. We've all seen it. And women could probably turn around and say the same thing too. Right? It's not beneficial for a man to change for a woman, right? Because it's only going to be conditional on his good standing with that woman, right? That's why I did my videos on certain topics, because I felt like a lot of these changes they needed to do without the presence of a man in order for it to really be true. And in order to do that, you have to do some self-reflecting. That's it. There's nothing more I can say. There's nobody else you can talk to. It requires you to sit down, do some self-reflecting in terms of what you're doing, and make that change. Without a man being there. Without the whole idea of, you know, secretly trying to get in the good favors of a man. Right? And that's the problem. That's where a lot of black men are not giving an inch, nor should they. As a woman, you shouldn't give an inch either. If you feel like somebody needs to change a behavior, right, you better be careful in terms of getting in a relationship, because that change may be pseudo. Now, there's altering behaviors, and that's where I think me and you kind of differ. Now, I've already defined what, you know, altering a behavior is, and that's all good. You can work with that, right? But the problem is, a lot of issues that black men have with black women aren't things that can be altered, right? They're not small, minor things that, you know, you can work on, give and take, right? They're major. They're major problems, right? And that's where, you know, a lot of confusion gets in the way. A lot of confusion. I'm all for working with somebody if they have to alter certain behaviors. You know, that's cool, right? Because, you know, it's more so getting your timing together, right? That's, to me, that's the beauty about altering. You have to alter. In order for any relationship to work, you have to alter certain relationships that you have, right? You know, it is what it is. I remember one relationship I was in college. You know, we had a relationship where, you know, we used to eat dinner together every night, which was cool because, you know, I was broke, you know, and she had money, so, you know, we were eating steak and asparagus, right? Which was cool. but she was used to eating at 6. I was used to eating at 9, 10. You know how guys are, right? So, but we both ate dinner. That was important. Eating dinner was important, right? Eating dinner and watching TV, like, it's a ritual that I have. I can't help it, right? So I was able to alter my behavior for her. And there were times where she altered for me, you know, if I felt like it was too early, or if I had, like, you know, an intramural game to go to, or I had a discussion to go to, she would alter her behavior for me, and we may meet in the middle and eat at 8 o'clock, right? And that's what altering's about. That change black men can do, and we're more than willing to do, right? For any woman. And we'll put up with it. But we're not going to get sucked into the whole fool's gold. Unfortunately, you have a lot of women, and I'll extend this to just, you know, modern American women, who really feels like she can wait and turn it on. You see, we all see this. I don't just see this in black women, I see it in all women. You guys remember where I grew up, so I just didn't grow up around black women, right? So, you know, all the girls that I knew in high school, you know, we're all friends on Facebook, and, you know, everybody's grown. We see each other here and there. And a lot of them are still living lifestyles that are bullshit. And they'll tell you that, oh, you know, when I meet that right guy, I'll settle down and change, right? You'll like, this comes out of women's mouth, right? This isn't even some speculation. You'll hear women say, yeah, you know, I'll change when the right guy comes along. And we don't want that. We don't want that, alright? So, like I said before, man, hopefully you understand where we're coming from, man. This is definitely some serious shit. You know, it's not about dudes just, you know, being butthurt and, you know, feeling like, you know, we have super ego and black women need to be doormats that we can walk on. It's not about that, yo. Alright, so let me know how you feel. Take it easy. God bless.